What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Pub Sports Radio Baseball Show. My name is Jose Bouquet, and alongside me this time, as you know, you might see later on in this episode, is Andrew Santangelo. Andrew, how are you?
I'm doing very well, very well. But why is it later on this episode?
Because later on, Andrew, what a great question. Perfect question, Andrew. Thank you.
Oh, no problem.
Later on in this episode, you might see it. We're going to have a special guest. We're going to have Red Sox beat writer Chris Cotillo of MassLive.com. He's dropped by. Me and him had a nice little chat. Talks about a little UNC basketball. Talked about Villanova too, obviously. Who wouldn't? We talked about the Red Sox and overall baseball news. It's a great interview. It's about 30 minutes. We'll attach it on after this. So hang in tight. Listen to these 30 minutes, and we'll get you down over there.
It's gonna be Sounds good. How you doing today, though?
I'm doing good. I've been busy all day, so I just came back from lunch at the perfect time to come do this. So this is
it's a late lunch. It's more like dinner.
Well, we left we got here at like 2 to eat lunch, and then we left, and then we got done at like 4:30. It was crazy. But enough about lunch, Andrew. Let's talk about the biggest news in the baseball world right now. A trade happened, Andrew. Another great superstar leaving their home market. Nolan Arenado, arguably, probably the best third baseman in baseball, takes his talents from the Rocky Mountains, and he goes to the Arch, goes to the gateway of the West, goes to St. Louis to play with the Cardinals. Paul Goldschmidt, Nolan Arenado, Tommy Edman, Paul DeJong. What a squad they've got there in St. Louis. It's nice to see an NL Central team actually trying to win, Andrew.
Hey, is that a shot to everybody else?
Yes, it is.
No, hey, we'll get into the Reds' big signing. But, this was I did not see this one coming. Well, not that I didn't see the trade coming, but Cardinals were a little bit of a surprise to me. The amount that they were able to get done in this deal for the little they gave up was incredible. I don't know what Colorado was thinking. If I'm a Rockies fan, I feel bad for you guys.
Man, I feel so bad for Colorado sports had a tough week.
Like, I'm on here and get mad at certain moves the Phillies front office makes and everything, but if the Phillies traded a guy like this for the little talent they got back, like to make that kind of move and not get a top five, not even like a top, not the number one, but not one top five prospect in return, like not even in the MLB, just top five in the Cardinals system back for this kind of player is just incredible. Like how do you, if you're the Cardinals, how do you even get that deal done? And you got a ton of money back.
It's insane. I thought the craziest part was the $50 million, Andrew. I don't know, or I just don't understand, I guess. I need to talk to a baseball general manager because I want to know why, and why do they continue to say, all right, let's trade our best player, our best asset, our best whatever. And here's some money to help make that happen. Here's some money to make you take my best player. What? That doesn't make sense. That makes absolutely no sense at all.
Yeah, and when we were texting back and forth when this trade happened, and I saw $50 million was going with Arenado. I'm like, okay, what's this package about to be? Like, I thought the Rockies were about to get like a significant package back because it's like and $50 million back for Nolan Arenado. It's just
I thought we were all poor now. I thought COVID made all the franchises poor. Why are they just finding $50 million laying around?
Right, yeah, it's that side suitcase with $50 million in it.
Man, like if the Cardinals are not going to give up the prospect haul you want for Nolan Arenado, if you don't put in that $50 million, hey, guess what? You don't have to trade him to the Cardinals. You don't have to trade him.
Wait till the deadline.
Right? Yeah, you could have gotten so much better value. I feel so bad for Colorado fans. They have nothing to watch now. Trevor Story, they just said they weren't going to trade Trevor Story, but he's going to be a free agent next year. You going to leave?
Yeah.
He's going to leave.
No, he's not coming back.
Yeah, he's not coming. Why the fuck would he come back?
Well, I also believe at the end of last year, they said they weren't going to trade Nolan Arenado, so we saw that worked out. So, like, you got to be careful what you hear from him. Yeah, Charlie Blackmon's in his 30s, so I expect him to be moved at the deadline.
Charlie Blackmon was there, honestly. I completely forgot Charlie Blackmon was a person.
You already lost DJ LeMahieu. Like they're like the Thunder of basketball. Like, I mean, everyone's like, how did they not win with Kevin Durant, James Harden, and Russell Westbrook and all them? Like, how did you not, like, at least do some type of damage with Charlie Blackmon, Trevor Story, DJ LeMahieu, and Nolan Arenado? Like, it's incredible what they did, and now they're losing everybody. And hopefully,
I was going to say the response to those Rockies fans would be: imagine if James Harden Kevin Durant and Russell Westbrook had to play somewhere where their opponents would just make like 70% of their baskets, and they just get an automatic boost in offense, and you just simply can't play defense.
Yeah, it's just incredible. And when I was reading over this trade, there's the Rockies, and I guess it's not surprising how good the Dodgers have been, but the Rockies never won a division title with Arenado.
Yeah, I mean,
like,
yeah. That's 85% of the reason why I think they made this trade. They realized, oh shit, the Padres are loading up. The Dodgers are incredible. Well, okay. Well,
it's on them for never getting pitching. Like, if they would have got some type of pitching, then they could have been somewhat decent, at least competed. Like, I mean, that offense.
They made the playoffs recently. So that's somewhat success, but like they just don't have the pitching. They've never had the pitching. John Gray has just not been good. Their whole rotation, the last good Rocky starting pitcher was Ubaldo Jimenez.
I was about to say, remember him? He won Cy Young that 1 year, and then
I love Ubaldo, big Ubaldo Jimenez guy. But yeah, no, it's just been bad. It's been poor. I feel bad for the Rockies. They have a great stadium. They have a great uniform combo, and I hope,
one of the best.
Yeah, I really hope it turns around for them. I don't know. Maybe our boy Luke and Baker will come in there and hit some dingers like he did at TCU, but I just can't see it.
Where do you go from here in Colorado? Like, there's no way you keep Charlie Blackmon, right, at the deadline. Like, you have to move.
That's why they're keeping Trevor Story. Just trade them all. Let's tear it down, baby. Let's go. It's not games.
Yeah, you have to trade Trevor Story too, because again, what's your selling point to him next in a year from now when it's the free agency in the offseason? What's your selling point to him? We traded Arenado. Maybe at that point Blackman's probably gone, so you probably traded him. Like, what's his incentive to go back to Colorado at that point?
Nolan Arenado,
outside the ballpark.
Yeah, Nolan Arenado probably already told him, like, hey man, they're gonna come up with you with a lot of money, and you know what you need to do? Reject that shit, because you need to get the hell out of here, man. Because if you sign that contract, you'll be stuck in Colorado being unhappy for 3 or 4 years and finally get a trade.
Who's their shortstop? Who's the Cardinals shortstop? Maybe he signs there in a year. Imagine that. Paul Goldschmidt, Trevor Story, and Arenado.
Yeah, Paul DeJong's a good player, but I mean, he's easily
move him to second if they lose Colton Wong.
Really? I mean, it does not matter. It's crazy. It's in the shortstop class next year it's one of the best ever, and we've lost. Well, I don't know if I guess we have lost Francisco Lindor from that class. He still hasn't signed his long-term extension, but there's going to be a lot of good shortstops available.
Yeah, Corey Seager too, right?
Yep, Corey Seager. Simeon's going to be available again. We'll talk about him later, but he's technically a shortstop, I guess. Story, Lindor, a lot of guys available, and I hope that we'll see what happens. I hope that it'll all get worked out. Shout out to Carlos Correa, also a part of that class. Just forgot about him too.
Yeah, I'm interested to see where St. Louis goes now too. Like, do you keep a guy like Matt Carpenter off the bench, or do you try to move him for something? Because I mean, right now, I guess he can go back to second, right? Because that's where he originally started. So I guess maybe that's their plan with him. But they also have Edman there, so they're in a tough spot there, a deep spot. I'm
washed, unfortunately. So
I don't disagree with that, but I mean, he's a guy that he might take a chance. American League team maybe as a DH, but
yeah, no, I mean. It's crazy to see, and like I said earlier off the top, at least they're trying, man. No one else in that NL Central wants to win, and just this one move has made them the clear-cut favorites.
Yeah, I mean, I don't disagree, unless the Cubs can somewhat compete. I mean,
they're trying to win ball games. We saw that. They're going to trade Chris Bryant apparently too. He's next.
Yeah, well, yeah. It just depends what they do. If they still got guys like Javier Baez, Anthony Rizzo, and Chris Bryant, that offense might be able to win them games.
With my own 2 eyes, I saw what happens when you don't have a starting pitching staff, and I could not name more than one starting pitcher on their staff right now. It's Kyle Hendricks, I think. He's still in there, right?
As far as I know, yeah. And then you lost obviously away Darvish.
No Lester, no Nick Quintana, no Darvish.
Mike Montgomery still there?
Alec Mills, remember him? He threw a no-hitter last year.
He did. Is Mike Montgomery still there, or did he leave?
Could be on the Royals for all I know. Still, I'm pretty sure that's wherever he'll be in my head.
Yeah, but then what? They got Craig Kimbrell, closing down games.
Yeah, that's a good time.
Isn't that who you wanted your closer?
Nope. Let's move on. Actually, I have one more question before we move on. Are they the best infield in the NL, Andrew? We talked about this before a show, but I want to hash this out. We were throwing some names out there. I think the Padres might have them beat here.
Yeah, I'd say they're probably the best corner infield Yeah, in the league, but in terms of overall infield, I think you still got to give the edge to a couple teams, and maybe even two out there in the NL West. I think you can make the argument Padres have very good, if not better, infield than them, and I think you can also look at the Dodgers possibly being out there.
Yeah, those are the
Um,
biggest ones, I think. Anyone else?
could, I would say probably not, because you look at the Indians could be up there if they didn't trade Francisco Lindor. Obviously, with that talent, you'd have a Gold Glover coming back, at Jose Ramirez, MVP candidate, come back, and then obviously Francisco Lindor is always a candidate, but you got rid of him, so that obviously hurt their case. The Twins are always a good team, but I think they're just well spread out. I don't consider them to have a top infield in the league. What was that?
Or if we're going to expand into the AL, the Yankees have a good infield. You know, they've got Gio Urshela, who's a good hitter and a defensive star. Gleyber Torres is allegedly a good player. DJ LeMahieu was all right, and then Luke Voigt was one of the best first basemen of last year. So
yeah, so they got that. Then and the team we're about to get into too with their free agent signing, Toronto Blue Jays. I think they have a very solid infield.
Yeah, for sure.
But honestly, listen, I obviously we think that the Cardinals are going to beat out the Cubs, but that Cubs infield isn't bad. Like if you get the Anthony Rizzo, who's good, you get Chris Bryant, who's good, and Javier Baez, some people believe is one of the best shortstops in the league.
Yeah, he's out of there. They're all out of there. Cubs are tearing that shit down, apparently.
Well, they're expected to, but right now on paper, they still have a solid infield name wise.
That's funny. Yeah, you're right. You're for sure right. I think that I don't think the Cubs are better in this situation here, but
I was just talking about good infield.
Yeah, they definitely should be at least mentioned. All right, let's move on, Andrew, to our next little topic here. I have it actually scrolling on the bottom, and I have it labeled as Mickey Asshole Callaway. That's a mouthful to say, I guess. Mickey Callaway is the latest. I'm not going to call him a victim, but the latest person to come out with this texting scandal that's come out. Apparently, he was sending lewd text messages to reporters, 5 different reporters across 3 different teams. Jared Porter, the Mets general manager, just got fired, I believe, 2 weeks ago for basically the same exact thing. I did not read the article yet. I haven't gotten around to it. I've been busy today, unfortunately. Sue me. But the article that Jared Porter, that article, they had the actual like text messages, and you could see everything. It made you feel so gross and all that stuff. And I'm pretty sure they did the same thing to Mickey Callaway. And like I said, I haven't seen it yet, but just all those text messages are so gross. And I don't think we need to say much about this. I think we should just bring it up and say, how about we just stop trying to sexually harass women in baseball? That's just my suggestion.
Yeah, without question, there's no business for it. And I don't know I don't know. We don't know the detail, like the full on details, obviously, but like I don't know what's happening in the Mets club. Like that's both happening with the Mets. Like you mentioned the guy that got fired already, and then now this happens. Like yes, he's on the Angels now, but this wasn't an Angels thing. This is a Mets thing. So I don't know what goes on there. I think the Mets really need to take a deep dive into the way things are after these. I think the Mets have to really look at what's happening, and I think I know the other one wasn't full on in the Mets because I think he did most of that stuff happen when he was with the Cubs before going over there. But yeah, like you said, there's no business for it, and it's time to just stop doing this.
Yeah, my only, I guess, like pushback for that would be that Steve Cohen, just got there. It doesn't explain the Jared Porter one. He literally hired Jared Porter and didn't know any of that shit. So that's a ding on his record there. But he quickly fired him, did all that stuff. He did the easy thing, obviously. I'm not going to commend him for doing that. But Mickey Callaway wasn't back when the Wilpons were in charge or whatever. It is a bad look for any of these teams to hire guys like this, but it's I don't really know. I don't have the answers. I don't have a third eye. I don't know how we would like check this beyond like giving people our phones, and like I don't know like how many people would do that like for some FBI bullshit on our phone. But I hope this stops. Hopefully we see less stories about this, and if there are more stories about this, let's continue taking them seriously and believing the women. By the way, he has been suspended. They're investigating. MLB is investigating. Just expect him to be fired within the next week. So,
yeah, I was kind of surprised, honestly, they suspended him. I thought they were gonna fire him right away. Basically, I guess that's the thing to do. You suspend him first, and obviously have to investigate it. But I wouldn't be surprised if he's fired before the investigation stuff's completed. Honestly,
yeah, I think for sure he'll get fired. So, Fuck you, Mickey Callaway. All right, moving on. I would like to talk about, Andrew, the start of baseball, because there is a fluctuating date. We've been moving around. We've been shucking and driving. Me and my good buddy Chris Cotillo, we talk about it in the interview a little bit. But MLB projected or proposed, I believe is like a month delayed 154 game schedule. This included expanded playoffs along with the universal DH, and the MLB Players Union rejected it. Now, at first I thought this was pretty weird. Like I thought, this was pretty conciliatory for both sides. You wait a month, you get the COVID vaccine, hand it out more, make it safer. Maybe more likely that fans will join, or I guess fans will be more likely to come into ballparks. And then I also thought, well, the universal DH, that I guess creates jobs, whatever you want to call it. That's not really creating jobs, but it helps the game, I think. I don't think pitchers want to hit, to be honest. I think the majority of pitchers don't want to hit, so I think that would be a good thing. And then the expanded playoffs on its face, you think about it, and you're like, this is just more opportunities for guys to make the playoffs, right? To win rings, right?
Right.
But I'm still not, 100% sure. But I was listening to a podcast, and I believe, and they explained it like this. Imagine they do implement the expanded playoffs. It's two more teams. I believe we had 2 more teams per conference, I guess. What are they? Division?
It was, but these expanded playoffs they had outlined was going to be an abbreviated expanded playoffs. They were only going with 7 teams for this one. I don't know if you read that, but I read there's going to be 7 teams in each side because the players are against the expanded playoffs. So they're trying to only a normal year would be the 3 division 5. Is that right? It's usually 5.
I think so. Yeah.
So it would have been 2 extra teams and somewhat of a middle ground negotiation.
Actually, wait, oh god, I'm so fucking.
Because it's the 3 divisions.
Yeah,
and then 2 wild cards.
I thought it was 3 wild cards now. Man, I'm so.
No, we're talking about normal year. Oh,
okay.
No expansion. It's 3 divisions, 2 wild cards, and then last year it was the 3 division winners, the 3 second place teams, and then 2 wild cards.
Mm-hmm, yeah. So and why the players? Because you might be thinking now, just like I was thinking, like why would the players reject this? Why don't they want more playoff teams? Why don't they want the DH? Well, the reasoning is that the more playoff teams you allow, Andrew, the cheaper and the easier it is to get into the playoffs. So you don't have to say, if I'm the Cincinnati Reds, let's say the Cincinnati Reds fall ass backwards into the playoffs this year because their division sucks and they cut money, they find a way, whatever. That's just more incentive. Like, why would we give out these multi-$100 million contracts when I can still make the playoffs with a bunch of slapdick prospects put together?
Oh, I'm going to counter that because that is partially why, or I think the main reason why they did, because they believe it takes away from the regular season. But I disagree with that stance because you take last year, right? You have the Cincinnati Reds, who basically did that. A team we both thought were going to be really good. They played terrible all year, sneak in the playoffs, and they're a quick exit. You're the Milwaukee Brewers. You sneak into the playoffs, but you get a quick exit because you face the Dodgers. So your incentive is still to play the best baseball you can because you don't want to go up against the Dodgers and the Braves the first round of the playoffs because you have no chance of beating them.
But, I mean,
the incentive is still there. One, you need home field advantage, or you don't need it, but home field advantage helps without question, especially whether there's a full stadium or by next year, I think we'll have it 25 to 50%. That's going to make a difference. And again, you don't want to face the big powerhouse teams because you're not going to have a good chance of beating them. The only exception to that would have been the Astros.
Yeah, and I just think, like I said, it's just making it easier to make the playoffs gives owners less incentives to try to go out and win, Andrew.
But that's not true. Your incentive is to win the World Series, not get an 8 seed to make the playoffs.
Not for all owners, Andrew. I hate to break it to you. I don't know if you knew this, but some owners are simply not in it to win the World Series. I can tell you right now, Andrew, this offseason, there have been 5 teams that want to win the World Series. The rest of them just want to save money. And if
you're gonna have that whether 4 teams make the playoffs or 8 teams make the playoffs.
But I think
because if you only have 4 or 5 teams make the playoffs, you're gonna have less owners trying to win. Because if you're the 8 seed on the bubble of making the playoffs, sneaking into the playoffs where anything can happen, which we've seen in the past from baseball, you're going to try to be that 8 seed. You're going to have an incentive to win games. If you're an 8 seed and you're only carrying 4 or 5 teams to the playoffs, you're not going to care about making. Like, you're going to trade it at the deadline. So I disagree with that. I think the opposite.
I just don't. I think we've seen it, Andrew. We saw last year we had an expanded playoffs.
The Reds bought in. You had the 7. The Reds bought in with Trevor Bauer and etc. Everyone else they signed.
And guess what? They sold immediately too.
But that's a 1-year thing, and then you have other teams like.
We have not seen owners consistently want to win in free agency. They have not been giving out the money. And this was pre-COVID too, Andrew. Before COVID, they were not paying out players still. They were still like, we had like these like leaking rumors, like, are the owners colluding against the players to make free agency just shitty? That's what the rumor pre-COVID at least.
But yes or no, expanded playoffs this year or not? There's not.
No.
So they're not trying to win without expanded playoffs. That's my point.
Well, so
really expanded playoffs. Expanded playoffs wouldn't change anything in the owner's mind. Because there's no expanded playoffs this year, and they're not trying to win. You just mentioned it.
I think it just makes it cheaper and easier to get into the playoffs. It just means that the player.
You're not wrong. It makes it easier, but it adds more though. It adds more incentive to try to win because you actually have a chance at the playoffs.
Yeah, well, you just said if you actually have a chance in the playoffs, congratulations, you get in the playoffs, and you get fucking smacked by the Dodgers or whoever plays in the 1 seed.
But teams would rather. That's my point. If you're a 7 or 8 seed, you're more likely to like try to win. You're gonna have a chance.
I just don't think teams would rather sneak into the 8 seed and lose in the first round. I think there are just
ask that to the Cincinnati Reds last year. What did they do at the deadline? They got Archie Bradley. They got other guys as well. The Toronto Blue Jays who snuck into the playoffs. They got guys at the deadline and Robbie Ray and etc. So last year to me proves that owners are trying to win.
But those two owners, I mean, the Reds were underachieving the whole year. We said they were division contenders.
They were. That's my point. They were underachieving. They still tried to sneak into the playoffs.
If they would have kept that same team from last year, no expanded playoffs, they probably could try to make the playoffs again. But they instead, they got to that first round, they lose, and quite I don't know if it's convincing fashion, but they built that pitching staff. They just didn't have the hitters. They tore it down because they realized, like, who cares? We built all this up for 1 year. We get to the wild card round. We play 1-2 games, and at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. The team that finishes last, playing half their players, still won as many playoff games as we do. So why are we going to do this? Instead, let's just pay our half of our players this much money, and let's just keep trying to make it, because we're the Rays are making fucking World Series without paying guys. So,
well, no, I'm just saying, I believe if they would have kept the expanded playoffs, you would have saw a different offseason for the Reds. They're making that assumption because they got to climb in the NL Central, which they know they can't do this year. So without expanded playoffs, they lose 3 playoff spots. Their incentive is there's no reason because they're not going to make the playoffs.
I don't think I think that the owners and such, I think they knew or they thought they were going to go into the expanded playoffs because that's what they wanted. They've been trying to push it the whole time. So I think they kind of knew and they just folded.
Well, I think this, with the CBA being up after the season, I think both sides are trying to intentionally cause conflict. So when they go into next offseason trying to get a whole new deal, they both have arguments of on their side. So I think both sides are trying, and another reason why the players didn't like this is because you move the season back a month, but then you're only going to end the season, or you only lose 8 games. So right there, when you redo the schedule, you're going to have several automatically doubleheaders, and they don't want that. Whether it's 7-inning doubleheaders or 9-inning doubleheaders, they don't want that many doubleheaders intentionally when you can avoid it with a full season.
Yeah, and players don't want to lose regular season games. Losing regular season game means regular season checks. So, I mean, it's a mess. I honestly, for the first time in this negotiating saga, I was like, damn. Like, I just really did not understand. Like, why would the players, just shut this down and not even negotiate, not even like counter? Because I saw that they didn't counter, but who knows? But
because if they don't counter now, like the MLB said, they're forced to start on time.
So I think it'll be interesting to see what happens going forward. Like we said, we're going as planned next week. Team officials are going down to Florida. They're going to start flying down to get prepared for spring training. So,
I will say this. I don't know if you agree with me or not, but this scares me a little bit still with all the conflict. I'm worried about a possible strike.
Oh yeah. I'm fully next year.
Yeah, next year once the CBA's up. I'm extremely worried
Yeah.
about the 2022 season starting.
There is. If you told me last year, 2022, is there going to be a strike? Fuck yeah. You told me right now, there's going to be a strike. Hell yes. There's for sure going to be a strike. There's no doubt in my mind. These teams, they historically the two most adversarial relationships between a franchise, a team, a sports entity, and its players union. It's the worst one out of the four major sports. It's not even close. We've seen strikes happen before, and we'll see it again. And players, and now players have a lot more. I don't know if it's leverage, but they have a lot more power. They can spread their message easier on social media. Fans get behind them a lot more now instead of the olden days where everyone was rooting for the fucking billion-dollar owners. And now, they've had a little more power. So I'm excited to see what happens. I hope, good things happen in that CBA, and I hope we actually play baseball this year.
We're playing this year. We're playing this year. Don't worry.
Okay, thank you. You ready for a little rapid fire?
Let's go.
Let's rapid fire to end the first half of the show. We can get you guys over to the interview section. Let's start off with your Philadelphia Phillies, Andrew.
Oh, it was a fun team to start with now, apparently, because of Dave Dombrowski.
Yes, Dave Dombrowski. You're finally starting to feel the glow of Dave Dombrowski signing players. Doesn't it feel great, Andrew?
Absolutely. It makes you feel like you're contenders again. It gives you hope.
Yes, they just re-signed shortstop. Oh, Didi! They signed Didi Gregorius back to where is it? Is there a south side of Philadelphia? Where's the stadium located? I don't know.
South Philly.
Yeah, so he goes back to South Philly, goes to the bank. Andrew, I think probably the best remaining shortstop on the market. How do you feel about this?
I'm very happy about it. It was a move I didn't expect to get done. I didn't all off season. They didn't really. I felt like Gregorius, like all the other shortstops, there's guys at times. There's rumors. I felt like Didi was never really in the news, like Phillies or not. It was just a quiet off season, and then it finally started to pick up after JT got done. It was 2 years, $28 million, so it's only 14 a year. So I think you're able to still do other stuff here before spring training, and I think it leaves the door open for other moves. So I didn't think you overpaid for him at all. And you have one of your top prospect or one of our top prospects is a shortstop, so a 2-year deal allows that to possibly come up as well. So overall, I thought this deal was fantastic, and like you said, I think it was the best on the market. So
should I be remembering this next prospect because Aaron Boehm turned out to be
Alec Boehm.
Yeah, Austin Boehm turned out to be pretty good. Who's this next guy coming up?
Bryson Stott.
Oh, the Stott man. I can't wait.
Stott man. Shortstop.
Can't wait.
Yeah, remember that name.
The Stott. Hey, I'll never forget the Stott man's name. All right. Well, I'm glad that you're happy about that. Marcus Semien going to the north, the big north, going up to Toronto to play second base, I believe, probably, maybe third base. Goes to
shortstop?
Not shortstop. Goes to the Blue Jays. Gonna probably mentor a young Bo Bichette, mentor a young Vladdy. I don't know. How do you feel about this deal?
It surprised me a little bit, just because all the guys they already got in that infield, so it was a little surprising. But I think it was a 1-year deal, so I think it leaves everything else open for him. Like you said, maybe to mentor some guys. But overall, I think it's a good move for him. It was a move that they had a chance to make, and again, I think he was one of the. I mean, I guess shortstop wasn't really a big market in general, but I've always been a fan of his, as you know, in Oakland. I brought him up on the show before, so I think it's a good move for Toronto. And as I continue to try to fight and get a better team than the Yankees on paper.
Yeah, I think it's a great move. There was a good story out talking about how just important Marcus Semien was to Oakland and all his teammates loving him and everything. I think that's a huge loss for Oakland. I think they're going to be significantly worse this year, unfortunately, and that's just a classic Oakland cost-cutting measures. So,
yeah, is Vlad going to play first for him?
I think so. I think they'll officially make the move to first.
I don't know if they'd have him DH, but I can't think of who their first baseman would be.
I think they'll definitely do that. I think Teoscar Hernandez could definitely be the DH too if he's not playing the outfield.
Yeah.
But I was thinking either Biggio goes to third or Semien goes to third. But I can't imagine Vladdy not playing first.
Yeah, I agree.
All right. This next one here, this one hits close to home, Andrew. I was very sad all day yesterday. because one of a legend retired. We lost Dustin Pedroia, number 15, second baseman for the Boston Red Sox, fucking forever. Retires. He's been retired, honestly, for a couple of years now. His injuries have been pretty bad. They've kept him off the field. A big FU to Manny Machado. I'll talk about Pedroia further in the interview. Me and my man Chris, we talked about him. He's, like I said, he's a Red Sox beat writer, so he knows a lot about Dustin. We actually were supposed to have this interview yesterday, but of course Dustin Pedroia retires and he has to go do his thing and write all these stories. So, but I just love Dustin Pedroia a lot. He was my second baseman growing up. I tried to be Dustin Pedroia in a lot of ways. I played second base as a left-handed person because of Dustin Pedroia. I tell a story about trying out for high school baseball and going to second base and getting basically just like told to get the hell out of there because I'm left. There's so many great quotes too from Dustin Pedroia. He said, going into the Rockies World Series, I believe in 2007, it was like a game 3, I believe, first one in Colorado. He's going to the ballpark, and the security guard asks him, like, "Can I see your ID? Who are you?" Blah blah blah, and he says this legendary quote: "Ask fucking Jeff Francis who the fuck I am. I'm the guy who hit a bomb off of them and just ended their fucking season." Another great quote from Dustin Pedroia. I'll put it in here. A couple of years ago, I had 60 at bats. I was hitting 170, and everyone was ready to kill me. What happened? Laser Show. Laser Show. That's how he got his nickname. One of the only people that could honestly give himself a nickname. Laser Show. I always thought that was a bad nickname, but I mean, the way it came up was such a good way. So, Dustin Pedroia, thanks for everything you did for Boston. Never forget. I love you dearly. Please adopt me. And please adopt me. And I hope you enjoy fatherhood with all your kids.
Yeah, I mean, there's a reason why we brought him up last show at the GOAT to the second baseman. I know his honorable mention, but it just goes to show what kind of player he was. Rookie of the Year, MVP, World Series winner multiple times. And like you say, he's a guy that would always go out there, just do his all. And that's why so many people looked up to him. And like you said, would want to be him. So incredible career. And well, his rookie year was 07, right? In that Rockies World Series year?
I think so, yeah. I get my years mixed up, so but I might be wrong on that. But I'm pretty sure, yeah. He wins Rookie of the Year. He follows that up next year with an MVP. I mean, he's a Boston legend. I think his number should be retired in right field. Hopefully, that 15 will be up there. I don't think he'll make the Hall of Fame, unfortunately, but you
never know. You never know.
50. He has a 50 WAR, 51.5. Hall of Fame average is like 69. But Andrew Kirby Puckett, he has a 51 WAR too. So we'll see.
It's funny because I think when it comes to Hall of Fame, like averages like do matter a little bit, and like if he didn't, even though he didn't play many games the last 2 years, it brought. I think you know where I'm going with this, but it brought his career batting average just below 300.
He went 3 for 31, I believe, in his last 3 years of playing baseball, and that took his average from 300 to 299.
Mm-hmm. He finishes 299. He in 18 he batted 091, and then in 19 he batted 100 on the dot.
That just really hurts my feelings.
And that really could be the difference between the Hall and stuff. But I think the two-way player definitely helps him though, winning multiple Gold Gloves and being able to hit as well.
Yeah, 3 World Series in Boston's a big deal. So
those 2.
No, that's 3. It's 3. Hey, we can go 07. We can talk about 13. We can talk about 18. I'll talk about him.
All I'm saying is baseball references too.
Hey, he was on the team for the 18 World Series. Is that the one they're not counting? Because he was on the team. I'm fairly certain.
I guess not. It just has his accolades. It says MVP, Rookie of the Year, 4-time All-Star, 2-time World Series, 4-time Gold Gloves, Silver Slugger, and the Wilson overall Defensive Player of the Year.
Well, I'm telling you, it's 3. He was on the team for 18.
I guess they don't count 18.
Yeah, he was more of a coach, but he was on the team, and they couldn't have won the World Series without him.
I could honestly see him being a coach in a few years.
Yes, so can I. Andrew, I think that's it for this half of the show, though. Do you have anything else you want to talk about real fast?
No, just baseball. Don't be stupid. Get the deals done. Make sure you play, and don't delay anything.
Good. All right. Well, let's send it over to my good friend, Chris Cotillo. What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Pub Sports Radio Baseball Show. My name is Jose Buquets, and alongside me is not Andrew Santangelo today. Special guest, Chris Cotillo of MassLive.com. And if you don't know, if you're from another part of the equator of the Mexican Times, Chris, ¿cómo estás?
Muy bien. And I take it you're a Section 10 listener, so
I'm a podcast listener. I'm a junkie, so I try to do everything I can, and that just happens to be one.
Yeah, no, it's that I don't know where that started, where that took off from, but it is actually not. I don't work for them, but I'll ride with it for as long as they want to. So there you go.
Yeah, when Alex Cora even says that you're working for the Mexican Times, I think you sometimes you have to write it out.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I don't know if my employers at Mass Live or actually work are too thrilled about being billed with something else constantly on a large platform. So, but if we throw in that I'm a correspondent for both, I think that's all right.
Yeah, it honestly busts up the credentials right there. Chris, ¿cómo está tu español ahorita? I know that you've on it. I can tell.
Un poco. I was gonna try to get to say my roommate, which I don't know how to say, but he's a Spanish high school Spanish teacher. So when I am trying to go back and forth with Steve Peralt and those guys and try to brush up on it, I just have to ask him sometimes. But it's there's still a little bit in there from high school, and college, but it's been a while.
Yeah, shout out to you. I was born in Venezuela, so I've got my Spanish card in my back pocket.
Mm-hmm.
I moved here when I was super young, so whenever I start speaking Spanish and if I spoke Spanish in front of, for example, Rafael Devers, he'd look at me like I have three heads because I have this weird accent. It's a great time, How do you communicate with the Spanish guys, by the way? I've always, we'll kick off the interview like that. But I always wonder, Rafael Devers doesn't speak much English. He's working on it. Right. I appreciate it. But, how do you talk to those guys?
Yeah, there's a translator, Brian Almonte, who works for the team, who does a good job. We had my first year on the beat, there's another guy, Davison Perez. So they're helpful with those guys. With the Red Sox, we only really had Devers, like you mentioned. I think he understands the questions in English, but is not comfortable, responding in English yet. And then Darwinson Hernandez, I think, doesn't speak English yet. So that's really been kind of the only guys in my first 2 or 3 years on the beat. But the translators, the PR staff does a great job making him accessible to us. And obviously, Devers is a guy we always want to talk to because he's, usually one of the big storylines. So it comes in handy.
Yeah, it's definitely how my conversations with my moms go nowadays. My mom, I speak to her in English. She speaks back to me in Spanish. It's a good time,
There you go.
I saw your UNC stuff in the background. We'll start there. We'll go back to the UNC days. I'd like to know, first of all, you obviously went there. Who was your squad back then? Who was on your basketball team? Was that the Hansborough days?
No, I'm way under than that. That's I was a junior in 17 when they won the national championship.
Wow.
So that was I was friends with Joel Berry, who was the point guard, the MVP of the Final Four.
Name drop. All right.
He's obviously a great college player. That team, Theo Pinson, Justin Jackson, Isaiah Hicks, Kennedy Meeks before them, Bryce Johnson, Marcus Page, and then we had, the legend Luke May hitting that shot against Kentucky in the Elite Eight that sent him to the Final Four. So I was super lucky while I was there. Sophomore year, we had that Chris Jenkins shot, which was like the worst moment as a sports fan ever, losing to Villanova in the championship. And then the next year, bounced back and were able to redeem themselves and get Roy's third title. So they've been down the last year, big game against Duke on Saturday. Hopefully they can beat them after being swept last year, and Duke sucks this year. So that's always good.
They are god awful. It's honestly hilarious to see every time.
I mean, last night I root for Carolina and whoever Duke's playing. It's a cliche, but it's true. So another loss for them last night. We'll take it.
Yeah, 11-point favorites they were, and they lose to Miami. That was, Chris, I hated to see it.
Yeah, no one hates to see it.
So Chris, you caught storm this off season. I guess it's considered an off season because of COVID and everything. You started this fundraising thing on your Twitter. Is the most organic thing ever. Honestly, I remember because I followed you before then, and I remember one day you were just like, I'm just gonna sell some stuff randomly, and then
right.
one day you just see like, oh my goodness, like $2,000 on some random bid and everything blew up. Can you just, you've told the story of how you got started and everything, but what was, I don't know, your favorite item that you sold, or an item that you sold that you were like, holy shit, like, is this really happening? Am I selling this?
Yeah, there's a lot of cool stuff. I mean, it really like you said. I mean, it was super organic. Just going through my own stuff, my own autograph collection from when I was a kid, and decided at first I thought I was going to sell it and try to make a profit on it on like eBay, and then I thought, oh, actually, let's do this for charity, and people will probably pay a lot more and make a difference at a time when people need it. So there was a lot of just the Red Sox type of guys that you'd expect me to have autographs from that era. Euclid, Pedroia, who obviously I'm sure we'll talk about at some point, and Ortiz, some of those guys. But for me, I think the big thing was I had a Mike Trout signed card that I got when I was in middle school or high school. I think his rookie year, he signed a card for me at Fenway. And I was able to auction that off for $1,300 for a food bank in Anaheim. That went for much more than I thought. The Section 10 guys, as much as we'll give them crap for the Mexican Times thing, they were nice enough to auction off an experience of people going to Fenway and watching a game with them, and
what an experience that you would think, like, how much is that worth? And people are paying.
That was $1,500 each, and we had 5 or 6 people do it. So that's on my list of things to do for whenever fans are allowed back into Fenway, to have them do that, because we obviously couldn't get that done in 2020. So I got to reach out and tell them I haven't forgotten about them. But those types of things, Alex Cora getting involved, Ken Rosenthal got involved. He donated a signed bow tie, which I think was really unique considering, that's his brand. We had a lot of people get involved. I did another round in the winter right around Christmas. And so, a total of almost $70,000 raised, which is a crazy number. Nothing I would have ever believed when I started out, but people really jumped onto it. People really enjoyed it. And, I was really proud and happy with how it went.
Yeah, it was awesome to see. I really liked, the whole process. Like you said, it was super organic. It came up out of nowhere, and it was helping a great cause. So shout out to you for doing that. Let's talk about good old Dustin Pedroia. We were alluding to him earlier.
Right.
I have a habit of scheduling guests and interviews at the time when like breaking news is happening. Me and my good friend Michael Hawley, we had to reschedule an interview like 6 times. We had to reschedule this interview because Dustin Pedroia, he heard about it and he's like, you know what? I think I should retire today. I'll put in the paperwork. I just want to know, because he obviously meant a lot to me, because I'm a Red Sox fan, and you might know Chris. And he's basically like one of my dads. I call David Ortiz my dad all the time. Dustin Pedroia is like my other dad, because I'm 5'8", 5'9" on a good day. Dustin Pedroia might be that as well if he's lucky. And he's like that North Star short baseball player that every short guy wanted to be, and all that. And I actually led to me getting embarrassed actually in a high school baseball tryout. I'm left-handed, and I went to the infield because they were like, if you have an infield position, go out there. And I went out there to second base because, of course, I was like, I got to be left-handed Dustin Pedroia. What else am I going to do? And the coach just looked at me and my left-handed ass, and he was like, go to the outfield. What are you doing left-handed at second base? And this whole thing. What was your favorite Dustin Pedroia story you saw yesterday come out? Maybe something that reminded you of him and all that good stuff. Maybe something about covering him on the beat.
Yeah, for me, it hasn't. I haven't really gotten the chance to cover him on the beat. I think that's one of the unfortunate things. Just obviously it doesn't matter to him, but for me, he was one of my favorite players growing up. And I'm also not very tall, so he was a guy that I rooted for. And
no way, you're 6 foot, Chris. Don't tell me that.
Yeah, on a good day, and 5'8" on a bad one, like you said. But he's obviously a legend around here, a fan favorite. And I was looking forward to the opportunity to cover him. So I started on the beat in May of 2018. So he had just gotten back. He played like 6 games and then was shut down again. And so I did not cover any games he played in 18. And then he was around a little bit, and then he went home and kind of in July of 2018 because he wanted to go rehab in Arizona. 2019, he came back. He was there for all spring training. So there was a couple of chances to talk to him there. Some milestones where he, played in the spring training game. And then, so I covered 3 games that he played in 2019. And then he got hurt again in the Bronx. And I remember the press conference when he kind of decided he was taking an indefinite leave from rehabbing. That felt really like a retirement press conference at the time. That was on Memorial Day in 2019, so a long time ago. And then finally yesterday, a very unsurprising decision. He obviously had no choice with all the pain he was in and the fact that he had a partial knee replacement. But, I think back to there's a lot of plays. I think, this is such a cliche Pedroia story and everybo's told it, but, it was kind of re-upped yesterday. You're walking into Coors Field in the World Series and security guard says, "Hey, where's your credential? Who are you?" And he says, ask Jeff Francis who I am, because he homered off of him, either game one or game two of that series at Fenway. And just, a guy who came out of nowhere. I think that's the cool part about, the Red Sox stars that we've seen. You've obviously had Manny was a superstar in Cleveland before he came, and Schilling was a superstar before he came. But a lot of these guys, Ortiz was just kind of a scrap heap pickup. Pedroia, he was just kind of this short prospect nobody knew much about. Youkilis, another guy where kind of came up and people fell in love with those guys. And even Mookie wasn't, a first round pick. He was a fifth rounder and made his way through the system. And you're seeing kind of these diamonds in the rough that really endear themselves to, around here. So, I was actually, getting back to just the press conference yesterday, Pedroia seemed like he was at peace as much as somebody that competitive can be. It seems like he's going to enjoy the time coaching his kids, spending time with his family in Arizona. So good for him. He was able to be, celebrated yesterday. I'm sure, there'll be celebrations at Fenway when fans come back. I guess that number 15 is going to be in discussion to be retired at some point. And just an amazing career for someone who really outworked everybody else. And for at least 1 year was the best player in baseball. And for a decade was one of the best players, at least not only at his position, but in the whole league.
Yeah, for sure. I agree with everything you said. I think you put it well there. So shout out to Dustin Pedroia as always. Hope you enjoy retirement. And I'm glad that all these videos of him being funny are slowly trickling out more and more.
Yeah.
Because I don't know. I guess I was more of a. I'm thinking back on it, Chris. I started to realize maybe I didn't have the internet when I was a child because I did not know any of these stories. They all just went over my head, and I over the years you learn more and more about him. And all this stuff, seeing him now, and it's just weird seeing him cussing too. And I know he cusses like a sailor too. And it's just it's just funny to see it now, and I enjoy it. It makes my tummy warm, and it makes me feel
that's kind of the part that sucks for me in a way is talking to my friends on the beat and guys who've been there for a long time and actually covered him for years and years and years. They have all these really good stories or all these funny quotes he said or all these great moments. I wish I had those. I got to admire them from afar. So but a lot of cool stories coming out the last few days. You saw just the quotes from the teammates, the quotes from Ortiz and Papelbon, who no one's heard from for a long time.
Right? Jeez.
And it's Veritek and those types of guys, So it was cool to see him being honored, and like I said, there'll be more honoring as fans come back and he can get really a proper send off in front of 37,000.
Yeah, hopefully. All right, I'm gonna ask you one more Red Sox question. So
all right,
Red Sox questions out of the way. We've had, I guess they have had. I'm not gonna use the we here. They have had this whole Benintendi saga going on for now weeks. It was locked down, no doubt. He's out of here. There's no doubt about it. He's gone. Blah blah blah. Everyone was saying it, and now Keim's just chilling. He's just hanging back. Taking his offers, whatever he's doing. Benintendi's still on the roster. What are we doing here, Chris? What are we doing? Are we still?
So I never dove fully into that, thinking it was imminent. There's a lot of reporters who I trust who are very good who did say it was imminent. So, we reported that they were reporting that. But I always kind of thought that, personally, it was just a little bit overblown. I don't, first of all, and I'm not some big Benintendi defender or anything. I think he's, obviously got a lot of talent. But I never thought that it was a slam dunk that he should be dealt. And I never thought that they really made sense to, it's I think 6.6 million, not breaking the bank necessarily. I know it's a lot in kind of these modern baseball times where every contract looks bigger than it was before COVID. But
yep.
He's a guy who could bounce back for you and be really good. He was really good in 18. He had a down year in 19, and obviously a horrible 2020 and barely played and was hurt. But for what you're going to get back for him, I just don't think it's worth really exploring that. It seems like at this point, he'll probably be with them at least when spring training opens. So I thought that stuff was a little bit overblown. I feel like, teams that were talking to the Red Sox had the sense that they might be pushing him aggressively. That's how it leaked out. But I do know that there are people within the Red Sox organization that want to keep him, that think that the best place for him is to rebound here. And then there's others in the organization that say, let's see if we can get pitching for him and go sign an outfielder elsewhere. To me, I just don't see. After the Ottavino trade, I think that decreased the chances of a Benintendi move, just because. If you look at the math under the CBT and all that complicated stuff, right now they don't have much room to add. But even trading Benintendi, that's not going to get you up to a guy like, Ozuna or somebody like that. So, and I think Jackie Bradley's probably going to sign elsewhere, and that could happen the next few days too. So, I would guess he stays. I would guess they add a complimentary outfielder to the Benintendi, Verdugo, Renfroe mix. I think they should do more than that, but it seems like they're willing to go with that group. But I was never a fan of them trading Benintendi, just because I thought, why give up on this guy right now? He seems like the guy that's going to break out and be an all-star somewhere else, and you don't want to risk that. So for now, I say he stays.
Chris, I don't think the Red Sox have a history of trading players that are good and then be better somewhere else. I don't know what you're talking about. That's not a move.
Yeah. Well, I don't think Mookie.
Who?
It's not like he was significantly better elsewhere. He was also, the MVP here. So. It was hard for him to. It would be hard for him to be better anywhere else. Obviously, the World Series title helps, and he got that. But I could debate the Mookie trade all day. I think that was the right move, but that's just my take.
Hey, yeah, sure. Yeah, we can all disagree. It's better than nothing. At least Verdugo's running around smiling out there. He's the only happy face on the Red Sox last year. So he
was the team MVP for sure, and over the course of 162, And look, I've tweeted this before. He's not even the highest ceiling guy, out of the guys they got. That's Jeter Downs probably, and they like Connor Wong too. So it's going to take a while, but if those guys are two pillars on a championship Red Sox team, I think this trade and the judging of the trade is going to be a lot different in 5 years than it is after a few months. And obviously, with the way it went for the Dodgers and them signing him and winning the World Series and all that, that's as good as it's going to get on the Dodgers side right now. But I think the jury's still out on the finality of that.
Yeah, it can't get any worse, right? They literally can't.
Well, it could if Downs and Verdugo end up being busts.
That's the negative energy we don't need.
Oh, you asked, could it get any worse? It can, technically. But I don't think that's going to happen. So,
Chris,
probably not.
I have a weird question for you here, Chris.
Okay.
And 2 years ago, I didn't think I'd be asking anyone this question. I thought it was just locked down. Chris, how many games are we playing this year?
Yeah, I know. It's a crazy thing to be like. You don't even know what the rules of the game are.
No, it's ridiculous. It's
they're going to schedule 162. I think that's probably going to happen. I think a lot of people are in favor of pushing it back a month, playing 154 and kind of doing what the league proposed, but the Players Association turned that down. So looks like they're going to try to get in 162. Our team's going to be able to get to that level. It depends, obviously. We're probably going to be that crazy trying to make games up and play doubleheaders and those types of things. So we'll see. I can answer that they'll schedule 162, but how many are they going to play? It depends on the course of everything. But it is crazy to me to think and maybe just because we had basically a blizzard here yesterday, I'm staring out there at a lot of snow that spring training is going to start in 2 weeks, and it's something I go to every year, and there's no plans for us to go right now. So it's the fact that the Red Sox team officials and employees are going to start flying down there in a week is pretty crazy with all things considered, but I guess it's what they're going to do.
Yeah, it's insane. I've had spring training games marked on my calendar just with question marks beside it.
Right.
Who knows anything? Who knows anything anymore? It's pretty nuts.
Exactly.
Let's move on to some journalism questions, because I don't know if people know this, Chris, but you're doing a workshop that you've been promoting that we'll talk about further, and we'll get people more to sign up because it's almost tax return season, Chris.
Hey, I know that my dad's a CPA, so I know.
Okay, hell yeah. So, Chris, I think the question that most outside journalism people want to know is, how the hell do sources work? That is obviously sources is a person, an entity, a thing. Everyone says it. That's the magical thing that you just tweet out and you break news like that. You're a newsbreaker. Congratulations. I consider you a Red Sox Woj. Congratulations. I get Cotillo Bomb.
It's a huge compliment. Someone said that there's a Cotillo Bomb yesterday because I tweeted Pedroia retired, but the team announced that, so that doesn't count at all. But
you get Cotillo Bombs in there. I love it. I can imagine already some pillows, some bombs, and some Cotillos falling down.
That sounds like a Section 10 T-shirt, but
good. I'm excited. I'll definitely pitch that because I'm in constant contact with those guys all the time. But how does that work? Like how do you get guys to talk to you, Chris? That's the question. What do they get out of it? Like that's why, how?
Yeah, that is a great question, and it's something that we try to figure out all the time. I think there is on their side, whether it's team employees or players or agents, whoever it might be, there is probably they like that they give things to people whose work they respect a lot of the time, or they have a personal connection to. And it's obviously hard. I'm the youngest one on the beat, and I haven't been doing it the longest, so it's hard to. In this market, you have guys who've been on the beat for 20 years, 30 years. You know a lot of people in the front office and know the people in high places. So over time, you develop relationships, and those people help each other out. So it's a work in progress. Something that it comes to use a word we used earlier, organically, of just trying to. Get to know people, try to provide something for them, try to provide factual, fair information. I think the key to try to start getting sources, just do good work and be fair, and those types of things. It's a long process. A lot of times people are going to turn you down, but for me, it's been something I've been working on for a long time, and it's tough to compete even with Ken Rosenthal, Jeff Passan. Those guys are getting everything. So it's
They're
a fruitless
nets. They're just nets taking everything.
And it's fruitless sometimes, but it proves that if you do good work, you get well respected. It's a snowball effect of people trusting you and being able to talk to people in the game. So it's always a work in progress.
Yeah, it's crazy to think about. Like you work on these relationships. You get so and so to tell you like, oh yeah, Dustin Pedroia is retiring, whatever, and then you tweet it out. And you don't, there's not really like that, like tangible, like satisfaction, like I got this first or whatever. You don't get anything for that. You just get like some retweets and some likes. And then over time that just starts building into something. And it's just weird to see in this business, the little things all adding up eventually.
Yeah. It's I don't think the thing that's interesting is like, and I've seen this response a billion times to when, Ken Rosenthal will say John Heyman had it first, or Passan will say that, Ken Rosenthal had it first. People are like, who cares? No one cares who had it first. But it is in our world, like it's a badge of honor to beat your competitors on something. And like the Pedroia thing, I think it's tough. Fans don't even really delineate because it's tough for them to tell. But the Pedroia thing, like that's not a scoop by me. It's the Red Sox sent out an email at 11 a.m. yesterday to like hundreds and hundreds of reporters, and they tweeted it at the exact same time. Pedroia is retiring. Yeah. And so I was the first one to see my email, and I typed it in quickly, and I had it literally 2 seconds before people were on the beat, and people were saying, "Oh, Cotillo was first on this," and that's just not the case. Like they announced it, so
the little victories right there.
It's not a little victory. It's complete wash. But if people, it's like, yeah, no, they announced it. It's you can see it on their Twitter too. So. But yeah, when it says source in front of it, that means it came from a kind of an exclusive angle for sure.
I just find that stuff so interesting. It's the thought of it. Like you said, like sometimes you get rejected. Like what does that even mean? How do you get rejected? I guess like you're just having this conversation and you ask like, oh, is so and so moving, and they just go nope, and then just like stop texting you or what?
Yeah, it's just it depends on. Every situation is a little bit different, and you're trying to find out, what might be happening or, what could possibly be going on. And, if a guy's a free agent, checking in and seeing if he's signing somewhere. If a guy's, a trade candidate, is he potentially going to, get traded soon? And so you kind of look for different angles where something might be happening, and sometimes it comes to you. So all that stuff, if it really is situation by situation.
Yeah, no, I don't blame you. I got 2 more questions here for you, Chris, and I'll let you get out of here because, like you said, you're a busy man, and like we don't know what might be happening right now. Maybe the Red Sox went ahead and signed so and so, and the world might be burning. Who knows?
Yeah.
What would you? I mean, you said earlier you're one of the youngest people on the beat now. You've been there since 2018, correct? The thought, like the first day you walk in to the press box or whatever. You're about to go do your first thing. You're doing your first set of interviews for pregame, whatever. What would you recommend to that, like, bright-eyed, bushy-tailed first day reporter coming into a new environment? Because you most recently did it. Like you said, the old guard of Boston media is pretty intimidating because they've all been there for 40 plus years, writing about all these crazy people and doing all these things. And you come in here with your quick thumbs, try to do things and tell people what's up.
I think it's just realizing that, it's a fresh start and even playing field for everybody in the clubhouse in terms of covering the players. I think, like there's now it's different. I've been covering these guys for 3 years, and I wouldn't say I have any like actually, antagonistic relationships with any of the players. There's been a lot of turnover and whatever, but everybody has relationships with the players. When you walk in on day one on a beat, like, you have a clean slate with everybody. So to make the most out of that opportunity, I think is really important. Something I tried to do. And also realize, like, at the beginning, take things slowly and don't try to, dominate press conferences with questions right off. Someone late in my first year said, you've done an okay job, because there's sometimes in press conferences you ask a question, I go, what the hell is that? That was so stupid that Chris asked that. And other times, oh, that was a good question by Chris. I didn't think of that way. So yeah, everybody's going to make their mistakes and say stupid stuff. And I've definitely asked dumb questions and gotten turned red and had awkward interactions, but that's all part of the game. And using those as learning experiences is super important too.
Yeah, Shaka Smart put me in a body bag once. It was brutal. It was brutal. I'm not gonna lie. I was a freshman, Oklahoma State. I was just there to just take some video for the newspaper, do my thing, whatever. I snuck into the press conference for shits and giggles. And it was at the very end when, that awkward pause when the reporters don't have any questions. Shaka wants to get the hell out of there. And you hear some voice in the back. Shaka, what's the difference between playing in the A-10 and the Big 12 tournament? And he was like, well, it's just basketball, so it's the same. And I was like, you're right. You're right, Shaka.
That guy's like 4-0 against Carolina, so
yeah,
he's doing something right.
I'm a big Shaka Flocka Flame fan. Shout out to him and shout out to VCU too. Can't never forget that. But so you 2018, not much time to be starstruck, I guess. But has there been a moment, or is there been a player where you just, maybe you walk by them and you're like, holy shit, that's so and so. Is this real? Is this really my job? Is this real?
Yeah. I mean, not too much to the current guys, just because I'm, removed from being a fan and rooting for them like that. But definitely when you're in Fenway and you see the guys from 2004, whether it be David Ortiz, obviously, or some of those guys, Pedro walking around, even like Kevin Millar, Damon, those types of guys. Like, for me, the guys who are, really my heroes as a kid, to see them in person, it still is cool. I got the chance to cover 2 Patriots games last year and was in the locker room, and I was blocking these double doors, and someone was trying to come through and I was blocking it and did kind of the awkward, get out of my way type of thing with Brady. And that was like, one of the coolest moments ever, because I, always idolized him. So that was the holy shit moment.
Just like,
I was like, you can go through me, do whatever you want, you're the GOAT. So he's a lot taller than person than anyone would think. I don't know. I know everybody knows he's like 6'4" or 6'4.5", but he's huge. So that's my takeaway there. My football analysis for the day. Breaking down the X's and O's.
I'm glad that we got your Super Bowl pick too. I'm glad that we got that on record too. 6'4" Tom Brady, obviously.
Yeah, I mean, I think the Chiefs are probably going to win, but it's been a good story. But also, you can never doubt Brady. So we'll see. It's crazy even to think. But it's crazy for me because everybody's talking about the big game this week, and my big game's Duke Carolina on Saturday night. So 2 unranked teams for the first time since 1960, but it's still the greatest rivalry in sports, so we'll take it.
Hashtag it just means more, Chris. It
does
more. I remember I was a bat boy for the AAA Padres here, whatever they're called, the Midlands. But I was doing my thing. And this was the year that Fernando Tatis was there. And I remember, like, I saw him. I knew he was a big deal. But I was like, man, this guy stinks. He's hitting like 150, blah, blah, blah. And then I believe, man, I don't even remember what team it was. It was like the Diamondbacks AA or AAA team. And I'm walking through the clubhouse, and I walk by this tall, lanky dude. And I was like, I haven't seen this guy before. And I double take, and I'm like, holy shit, that's Clay Buchholz. And I'm not gonna lie, Clay Buchholz, not a great overall pitcher, but
he had great moments.
I had a mini panic attack when you're just like, oh shit, it's Clay Buchholz. I didn't even say anything to him. I minded my business. I kept my cool. I was like stone faced, whatever. Yeah. But I definitely had that moment too, where I just walked by a guy and you're just like, that's that guy. That's pretty what? That's nuts. So
yeah, he had his moments. So yeah, I know up and down tenure, but he was good at times.
9-0. That's my lasting memory of him. 9-0.
Yeah, I won a no hitter. I remember for 07, I think.
Yeah, see, shout out to him, man. Clay Dro forever.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so before I let you go, we mentioned it earlier. You're doing that your workshop for young journalists and anyone interested in the sports media business. I'd love for you to just explain what you're doing. How can people get involved? How can people get in touch with you? Like I said, tax return season's coming up, baby. If you want to better yourself, get with Chris Cotillo.
It's it's kind of an off-season side project. Not much going on anywhere, but definitely during the baseball off-season. So I launched that Zoom workshop. It's like I have 2 sessions right now. I think I'll probably launch one more in the coming weeks with even during spring training. So like Monday and Wednesday nights, we have a bunch of aspiring sports writers hop on and do six group classes talking about different things in the industry, podcasting, breaking news, planning, interviewing, feature writing, all that type of stuff. Do those in group settings and try to do like a laid back Q&A type thing. And then the one-on-one, I have a one-on-one with everybody, and I like to go over everybody's work, talk about their specific paths. So yeah, by no means am I, this ultimate expert in the field, but I feel like, after being on the beat for a couple of years and kind of, carving out a path from, being a high school student trying to break in to going to SB Nation for a while and doing it in college to now on the beat. I feel like there's some things you don't learn in journalism school or communicate as a communications major, all that stuff. So that's kind of the basis behind it. And so I'll probably be launching one more session, and if anybody's interested, they know where to find me on Twitter.
Yeah, shout out to that. I'm going to be one of those people in that next session. Shout out to tax return season. We love it. Better. Hopefully the tax return comes. I think you're so right about that, though. I'm a communications major. I graduated from UTSA. Shout out to the Roadrunners, best mascot college football and basketball. But I was, like I said, communications major. They don't teach you how to interview someone. They don't teach you. They just teach you like, hey, if their body language is like this, they're probably feeling this way. That's all nonsense. That's not going to help you in the real world. But Chris, your class is definitely helpful, and you had a class about podcasting. That's where I'm going to make my niche right there. I'm going to come in there, Chris, and I'll slide right in.
Yeah, you can teach it after this performance.
Hey, Chris, I'm a good Magic Johnson. I can pass the ball real well to my other guests. I'm
there you go.
And make you look good, Chris.
I appreciate it.
No problem. Chris, plug your, I think actually people know where to find you, but I'd love for you. Plug your social media before you get out of here. And thank you so much for your time.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It's just, Chris Cotillo, Cotillo, Mass Live, not the Mexican Times, and then on Twitter at Chris Cotillo. Pretty simple.
Yes, Mass Live. Shout out to Christopher Smith. I also think works at Mass Live. Shout out to him too. Mm-hmm. Yeah, great podcast too. I listen to the podcast.
Yeah, Fenway Rundown. Listen to that. We should have a new one coming out this week with a member of the Red Sox. So that'll be exciting.
Honestly, if you don't listen to the Fenway Rundown, you got slandered this week, Chris. I don't know if you heard. You got slandered for the Fenway Rundown. And I was ready to take up arms for you. I was like, you get the best guests, Red Sox guests every week. You have a Red Sox player. You had Alex Cora first. You had
what was that? Jared and Steve?
Oh yeah, they were slandering your name.
Oh, all right. I got to go back and listen.
It was bad. You might have to call in or whatever. You might have to.
Yeah, I'll find a way.
Okay, good. I'm excited. I'm glad that we got this through. We've made progress today. I'm going to join the podcasting class and maybe teach it. I guess. Who knows?
There you go. Perfect.
Thank you so much, Chris. Thanks for joining us. We'll catch you guys next time.
Thanks, man.
All right, and welcome back from the Chris Cotillo interview. I'm glad you guys enjoyed it. That was a great interview. Thank you to my man, Chris Cotillo, for joining us of the masslive.com and of the Mexican Times if you listen to certain podcasts. So I hope you guys enjoyed that fun interview with our guy, Chris. Andrew, do you have any final thoughts before we wrap up here?
No. check out Friday's episode when we get on here. We'll be going around to third base, and a lot of my favorite players down there at third base. So I'm excited to talk about that position. And what was it?
I might have you make the outline. You know, you can bring all your honorable mentions. You can bring all your top three. I want to see what
Sky Rowland, number 1.
Oh, well, you're right. When you're right.
Scott Rowland, number 1. Mike Schmidt, number 2.
Scott Rowland, number 1. Scott Rowland, number 2. Scott number 3. There we go.
Yeah.
Andrew, where can people find you at?
People can find me at AJ_Santangelo on Twitter. Other podcasts are Philly Sports Now. Twitter is Philly_Sports Now. Chasing the Pennant podcast, which is at ANYP Phillies, and then True_Philly Sportcast, as I do that one as well.
Awesome. Thanks everyone so much for watching. This episode will be out as soon as possible. I'm going to start working on it ASAP. I know this is not a live episode, but we will be doing a YouTube premiere of this episode. So I'm going to put both parts of the episode together. As you can see me twirling around my Apple Pencil right now. I'm going to put both parts of the episode together, stick them together, put them on the Pub Sports Radio feed, and we're going to have a live premiere. We'll watch along. And if you guys want to comment along, actually, you'll be probably watching the end of this. So thank you for commenting along then. If you watched, thanks so much for coming out, guys. We appreciate it. Go follow Andrew at AJ_Santangelo. Follow me at Jose Bouquet. Man, stay healthy, guys. Go wash your hands, please. Let's get out of this freaking pandemic. I'm getting real sick of it now.
Yeah, I'm ready to go to a game.
I'm ready to go to a game. I'm excited. Thanks so much for everyone. We'll catch you guys next time.